Or do we say we have to move forward? And it is important that that we explain that this citizenship is not a concession. It was a negotiated thing. You see, the British had this to grapple with themselves. Because one of the conditions that went, I think it was 1945, you see, the Malay Union was the one that started to have a common citizenship system, which was opposed by the Malays at the time, 1948. But even as early as 1945, after the war, the thing that was troubling the British then was, how do you solve this country? How do you let them have independence and not resolve the citizenship issue? And therefore, it is important that people understand that we could not have got our independence in the way we did if there had not been a compromise. Do we then say our leaders should not have done this or that? You know? And I think it is totally repugnant to say, to assert in a country such as ours, that we have different classes of citizenship. I said, is that tenable to you? Are we going to move forward with that sort of thinking and belief? I mean, Mahathir talked about social contract, whatever that he claimed, to be part of that understanding. I say, whatever understanding we've got it done in 1957. We just have to look at the situation, and if we have to help the community. And I told them that Orang Asli, for example, was totally neglected as well. It's not just a myth. And Orang Asli was not even part of the so-called social contract. What do we do? Do we not have the Orang Asli more? Do we not have the natives of Sabah and Sarawak more? So I think history is just part of the reality. History is history. We recognize for what it is. But we have to move on. Now we are people in one country. And therefore, one of the biggest challenges we've got is this, is getting the message down. If we want to use the third force or whatever movement that we want to make, we have to get people to understand that there are ways to solve the problem without resorting to this emotional and sensational mistakes of the past or errors of the past, or because that's how our country came to be. That's how we got independence. That's how we got this sorted out with the British. We sorted out the issue of citizenship. We sorted out the issue of the Malay rulers. Because, as you know, the Malay Union was, of course, of a different structure. So the British gave in to that. Okay, we don't have a Malay Union. So there are some people that give and take, I think. And that's how I try to explain to them. But I'm not sure, after that 2-hour session, some of them will accept that, some of them will not. But one of the things we need to do is to address this lack of understanding. That we fought the Japanese, we fought the communists, we fought them because we are all together. And it's not just one community that got this independent. And I think if people don't understand these issues, we can tell them anything after that. They will not buy it. You see, one of the questions posed to me was, he said, when Tunku met Chin Peng in 1953, Chin Peng threatened Tunku. This is what he said. Chin Peng said, and this is true, this is what Chin Peng said. Chin Peng said, I come here to negotiate, not to surrender. So I said, why do you find that offensive? He said, because Chin Peng represents the Chinese. So it's like the Chinese, from Chin Peng till now, are wanting to take away our right. They don't want to talk to us properly. They want to demand things. He said, I was a former commando. I said, thank you very much for a former commando, but Chin Peng is Chin Peng. Chin Peng has his own struggle. Chin Peng is over. And we have defeated them. We have made peace with them. I said, do you know that we have made peace with the communists? He said, well, Mahathir who made peace. It wasn't me. And when we make peace, we have to honor it. And Jinping certainly do not represent all the Chinese. There are a lot of Chinese who got killed by the communists. And so I said to them that you have to look at history and you have to see things in that perspective. It was a difficult years for us. We had a colonial master whose job is, of course, to do what's best for them. And then we had the communists. And then we had immigrants that came in, of course. Serious issues involved in those times. But we managed to overcome them in the spirit of goodwill of the leaders, of our earlier leaders. So therefore, I said that whatever economic struggle that you have, that you want to, surely there are legitimate questions. I mean, surely we do not want to see one community taking full advantage of the wealth of this country at the expense of other communities. Or, you have created a sort of a monopoly of some kind. It's not fair. So an equitable economic system is what we have to do. We have to implement. And therefore, if the concerns of the Malays is economic survival, then we have to look at what causes that. Lack of parity, or the weaknesses in the system. What caused it? And therefore, I said, we have to have economists to come and explain some of the policies that the government have. And the one thing I found during that discussion is that sometimes people blame the Constitution for everything that's wrong. I said, it's not the Constitution, it's the policies. This is one thing for the Constitution. The Constitution is just a broad framework of how this country is going to be run. But we have to explain to them that the problem of the Malays are actually of a different kind. I mean, if it's lack of competitiveness, why? Is it work ethics? Is it attitude? Is it education? Let's explore this. Why do we have to look back and blame it for circumstances that's already beyond our control anyway? We have to live with the issues today. And therefore, I think one of the things that we can do for you to get people to understand this is for them to explain some of the reasons why there is lack of parity or lack of economic justice for this community. And I think this is where I always say that political parties must focus on policies. It's only through policies that you explain to the people why certain issues or certain problems can be addressed. But for some reason, that's not our priority. Our priority is always something sensational, something frightening, someone's going to eat you up and things like that. And I think this is where, to move that mindset, to have a mindset change, there's a lot of explanation, there's a lot of issues of the past, of our history, must also be explained. Now, whatever the justification of this, whatever I said, even if it is true that there was this deal, let's assume there was a deal. We give you citizenship, you let us have some special concessions and all. I said, but that cannot go on and on forever. Because these children of this great grandparents of the immigrants, I think they are citizens of this country. We have to talk to them like citizens, and we have to address these issues in this way. The fact that I could survive that meeting, I thought it was a good sign. No, seriously, because there were some perkasa fellows, because they were so-called young kebab, they were very animated, very fiery. And I don't blame them, because sometimes they don't understand some of these issues. That's why I keep saying this. We cannot assume in our country people understand the problem. Because they have been, for so long, been segregated, different systems, different schools, different values, different style, that they see things in different ways. And we must find ways And if this third force is going to be effective, you have to address this issue. The second issue is Islam. This is all tied up again, this issue. And to a lot of Malays in the kampong, even some educated ones, you see, why is it that when Najib, when he became Prime Minister in June